Let's talk about political ideology. I'm going to talk a lot about who the liberals and conservatives are when we get to class. But liberal conservative are two different kind of set of beliefs or core values that usually are talked about as if they're in opposition to each other. That. When you ask people, are you conservative or liberal? More people will say conservative than they'll say liberal. But curiously enough, when you ask people on many, if not most, policy issues, what they think, they will more often than not choose the liberal answer. So it's not always clear that people understand what these labels mean. And as of, I guess, 2006 or 7, here are the kind of numbers that we see on this. Women are more likely to call themselves liberal than men. Men are more likely to call themselves conservatives. Minorities are more likely to identify as liberal, whereas white folks are more likely to identify as conservative. This varies by religion. It also varies by geography. Some parts of the states, of the United States, consider themselves to be extremely conservative, whereas other parts consider themselves to be fairly liberal. Here's a little chart, although we're going to go into much more detail, but if you want to pause and look at this, you're welcome to. This is from your book. We'll kind of update this in class. Now, here's one of my favorite parts of this whole chapter. It's why do people vote the way they vote? Or in other words, do people vote in terms of their ideology? Do they have some sort of core principles that they vote on? And if you do, you're called an ideologue. But in reality, only about 12% of Americans, studies have shown, vote based on some sort of philosophical concept that they have. Group benefits voters, and this is 42% of voters, this is the largest group, see one party or the other as beneficial to some group they consider themselves to be a member of. And so they vote for that group. So, for example, if you see the Democratic Party as the party of minorities, and that's all they want to do is help minorities, and you're white, well, that may cause you to vote for Republicans. By the same token, if you see the Democratic Party as the party that helps black people and you're black, you tend to vote Democrat. If you're a union member and you think that the Republican Party is out to get unions and the Democratic Party is there to protect them, keep in mind, I'm not saying any of these things are true. I'm just saying these are commonly held beliefs. Then that union member is probably going to vote for Democrats. If you're, say, gay, and you see a Democratic Party that tends to support gay marriage and a Republican Party that tends to oppose it, then you're probably going to vote for the Democrats. So the largest group of voters are voting simply because they identify with a group. Could be rich and poor, could be young and old, it could be geographical, but they identify somehow as a part of a group, and they think that that party is going to help them. Nature of the Times voters, this is almost a quarter of all voters, vote on whether or not they consider times to be good or bad. The economy going well, unemployment is low, inflation is low, we're at peace around the world. Well, you vote for the incumbent party. If that's Republicans, you vote Republican. If that's Democrats, you vote Democrat. Things are going bad, economy's poor, unemployment is high, we're involved in a few wars, all of which, of course, is going on now. Well, that's bad news for the incumbent. And as I record this approaching the 2012 election, this is depressing Barack Obama's numbers. Although he's still leading, he would certainly be leading by a much larger margin if he had the kind of economic and foreign policy situation that, say, Bill Clinton did in 1996. About 22% of people, so about more than 1 in 5 voters, vote for personality or just simply vote for the party that they vote for because they've always voted for them. If you ever hear somebody, when they talk about the election, they talk about who they like better as a person. I remember when George Bush ran in 2000, again in 2004, a lot of the talk was, man, he seems like he'd be a fun guy to sit down and have a beer with, which is funny because he's a recovering alcoholic, but whatever. Well, that's not really that policy voting. Whether you agree with that or not is one thing, but that's no issue content voting. You see a lot of talk in elections about people's tie, was it weak, or their body language, or their wives, or whatever it may be, how they eat their hamburger. And apparently, a lot of people, this is how they follow elections.